In the summer of 1977, a young woman was found strangled to death in a van parked outside a Yakima hardware store.
And Apple Valley News Now's Emily Goodell tells us nearly half a century later, we finally know her name.
Her name was Veretta John Gates, and she was just 25 years old when she went missing in 1977. Police say her family called her Johnny.
Veretta was described by family as a bit of a wanderer. She was known to hitchhike from Vermont to New York, where she was from, to the West Coast and back.
Her last known location, a hospital near Chicago in early July 1977.
Less than 2 weeks before her remains were found in Yakima. Veretta's family spent decades searching for her, not ever knowing what happened to her until a few weeks ago.
Because for the past 47 years, she's just been Jane Doe.
On the morning of July 25th, 1977, an employee of the Yakima hardware store at 309 South Front Street reported to police that he smelled a distinct odor coming from a vehicle parked in the adjacent parking lot. The body was badly decomposed and believed to have been there for at least a week.
An autopsy found she'd been sexually assaulted and strangled to death, but no one knew who she was.
None of those leads seemed to pan out, which left investigators the task of identifying their victim.
They tried comparing her dental records and fingerprints to national databases without success, stalling the case until 2004.
This case sat dormant for 27 years before I picked it up and started combing through it and looking for any viable evidence.
Her remains exhumed, evidence sent off to Washington State Patrol and the King County Medical Examiner's Office with no luck.
In 2005, the femur bone was sent to the University of North Texas Health Science Center to obtain a better DNA profile.
But no matches in CODIS, the federal DNA database. The investigation stalled again until renewed emphasis in 2022, when YPD received a grant through the State Attorney General's office to submit the case for forensic genetic genealogy, a technique that combines traditional genealogy research with DNA analysis.
Possible related individuals were identified by our case genealogist at Othram Labs. And through dozens of phone calls and record searches with those individuals, our genealogist believed a sibling may have been located.
He submitted his DNA, and on May 23, 2024, results confirmed it was a match for his sister Johnny. A detective reading a statement from the family.
This has thankfully allowed some closure to our family after 47 years and a wound that never healed.
But it's still an unsolved homicide with few details to go on. There were several prolific serial killers targeting young women in Washington state in the 1970s, but
it doesn't quite fit in the timelines of the famous ones.
Now, with a name and knowing where she came from,
that opens up a whole new avenue of possible serial killers that operated on the East Coast as well.
Police now asking anyone who may have crossed her path in 1977 to take a step back in time.
What I hope is that someone in our area or elsewhere recognizes her face or name and is able to reach out with information to help hold the person or persons responsible for her murder accountable.
And for the families of the victims in 7 cold case homicides identified by YPD and more still missing.
You're still in our lives. We haven't forgotten about you.
If you want to learn more about those cases, the Yakima Police Department highlights a different cold case every month on their Facebook page. Reporting from the Yakima newsroom, Emily Goodell, Apple Valley News Now.